What's going on, guys? My name is Oreo Token, and today we are going to talk about a new series we're starting called the Warmind Cell series. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about different Warmind cells that we have in the game right now, why it's important going into the season of the hunt, and we will start walking through different subclasses and their builds with the Warmind Cell builds. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's start talking about what you need to start building a Warmind Cell build on your character. So starting off, we need a 7 Seraph weapon or an Ikelos weapon. These are the two types of weapons that can help create Warmind Cells. I am using an Ikelos SMG. You can also use the shotgun or the sniper, which you can get this season, Season of Arrivals, so please go farm that out. Or last season, if you have already got those weapons, there's a 7 Seraph SMG, there's a shotgun, and there's a sidearm. I would go ahead and look at those as well as the main ones going for these builds. For my recommendation, I recommend the Ikelos SMG because of the distance and range you can use to get kills. After that, you need one Warmind Cell mod. As you see here, we are using Power of Rasputin as one of our mods. So those are the two things you need to start creating Warmind Cells on the battlefield. Now, let's talk more about why these are important and why we want to look at Warmind Cells. Going forward, as we start leveling through Season of the Hunt, we will want to be able to kill things fairly quickly, and Warmind Cells are a great way of doing that. They make massive explosive damage, and they kill things fairly quickly, doing a lot of damage. So that is the main idea for Warmind Cells. I think this is going to be a key player in the early grind until we start getting our stasis subclasses in order to level up quickly. So that is my recommendation for that, why we do that. So let's talk about kills and how to spawn Warmind Cells when playing the game. So it is not random how they spawn. They do spawn on a frequency, and let's talk about it. Your typical red bar will give, basically imagine to get a Warmind Cell, you have to fill up a bar full of a percentage. And each type of enemy is a greater percentage in the bar. So a red bar is 15%. What that means is you need to get 7 red bar kills in order to get a Warmind Cell drop. Majors are 25%. So that means you need to get 4 major kills to spawn a Warmind Cell. And an ultra, like a boss or a mini boss or something along those lines, is on kill, Warmind Cell drops. So that is the way we are going to use Warmind Cells as we go across this whole section in order to get them. Keep that in mind as you're killing things. You might not want to kill something yet because the next thing you kill will spawn a Warmind Cell, and you want to strategically place it somewhere else. So that's something to consider as you go through. But we'll go ahead and get started, and let's walk through the build we have. So we're starting off with Voidwalker Devour. Devour is strong because either getting kills with your charge melee, holding your grenade and consuming it also basically regens your health. So looking forward, we're going to use Devour. The next thing we're going to use is Witherhoard. Witherhoard is extremely strong. This is going to be a main point for most of our builds, and here's why. What you can do with Witherhoard is you can drop a Witherhoard, basically rift down, as you want to call it, and it's called a blight actually, but drop it down on the ground, switch to your Seraph weapon, our SMG as we use right here, and if you get a kill with your Witherhoard, it will act as though you're killing with your Seraph weapon. So you can put this in trash mobs, switch this out to your, swap to your SMG, and if you get, 7 kills on Thrall with your Witherhoard, you can activate a Warmind Cell. So that is a huge plus. Also, it's great for boss damage. You can put one on the ground, put one on the boss, switch to your sword, and you're doing constant tick damage while you're doing sword damage. So Witherhoard is a very strong play, which was in this season pass. So go ahead and claim it if you haven't. It's very strong play. Next, we'll talk about the Ikelos SMG. The Ikelos SMG is strong because we talked about Ikelos or Seraph weapons are what's needed to be using for Warmind Cells. But SMG is strong because A, you have a longer range than, let's say, the shotgun, but more ammo than the sniper to get kills. So we are going to use our SMG, and arc damage is pretty strong too against a lot of the taken enemies. I know, and some fallen too. If you think about it, fallen shields are the captains are arc as we go forward. This might change with stasis, but we'll see what's going on there. And I have dynamic sway disruption break roll on this SMG. Obviously, there's other ones. I do find this one to be very versatile for me because it has tap the trigger and disruption break. So I think that is a very strong roll for PvP and PvE, and I have a range master work on it. So that overall I find to be quite a good build or weapon for me going forward. The next thing we have is the Falling Guillotine. This season, this is probably arguably one of the strongest non-exotics heavy weapons out there. So we're using the Falling Guillotine. I have Tireless Blade and Whirlwind Blade on it, and as you see, we will be using the sword as our key heavy in this, and you'll understand why as we go forward. Alright, moving on to armor. We're going to use Verity's Brow. And we're using Verity's Brow because it says energy weapon kills, boost grenade damage. So, looking at what we're using a lot of our energy with our SMG. So this is giving us increased damage on top of our grenades. That will be important when we get out of the season and Oppressive Darkness is gone. Maybe, I don't really know. We'll find out. I'm assuming it will be. But Oppressive Darkness is gone. We will start using Verity's Brow to be much stronger going forward with our grenades, because grenades are a major factor in the game of Destiny. Moving forward, we are going to be using our gloves with the mod Power of Rasputin, as we talked about earlier. What this does is it says you will gain a bonus to weapon damage against enemies that are near Warmind Cells. So I kill a bunch of adds, I drop a Warmind Cell next to a boss. The boss now receives a flat 10% extra damage from all the weapons I'm doing. This stacks on everything. So think about that. I can use a buff, a debuff, anything, an extra 10% damage on everything near a Warmind Cell. That's a strong one for clearing bosses and things like that. I also put on a grenade launcher loader because we're using Witherhort. Obviously, you can put other things on as your character goes forward. I'm going to let you decide what you want to do with the rest of it and maximize your energy on your armor pieces. The next thing we're going to do is we have Lucent Blade. So this ties into our sword we're using. Lucent Blade says, while charged with light, dealing damage with a sword gives you bonus sword damage for 5 seconds, consuming 1 stack. So what that means is if I have a sword and I become charged with light, which we'll talk about how to do that in a second, I become charged with light, I will now have basically weapons of light damage from my sword, from the strongest sword in the game, just throwing that out there. And this is going to pair in very nicely with what we're doing, killing boss damage with our Witherhort. So that's a strong play going forward as well. On our boots, we now need to become charged with light. So let's talk about how to become charged with light. What we are going to use is taking charge. Taking charge is going to be our way of becoming charged by picking up orbs of light. We purposely went through and made all of our weapons masterworked. And now what that means on multi-kills, we will drop orbs of light. And now we will pick them up with taking charge and become charged with light. So it is important to masterwork your weapons. I highly recommend it as you go forward because of the orbs. But if you can't do that, there's other options in there. You can use precision charge if you're using hand cannon bows or scouts rifles. Swift charge is a strong one too. People use a lot because of the SMG. It ties in with what you're using. It's another way to get charged with light. There's other ways like break shield break and empowering finish. And that's if you need basically a low energy mod. But I highly recommend taking charge or swift charge with our build. Moving forward from there are Bond. We have Global Reach. Global Reach increases the distance of your Warmind Cell's effect. So if I drop a Warmind Cell, it will now reach around and grab more people, do the debuff of Power Rasputin, and going forward, it will make it much stronger. In addition, this season we have Oppressive Darkness. So I am using Oppressive Darkness, basically making anybody in my grenade doing critical damage. So if I throw a grenade on the ground, throw it on the boss, everything I do does crit. So I can throw it on the ground, use my sword, and do criticals for everything. Huge plays right there. Definitely recommend it. You can also put, dire artillery on there to work with your grenade launcher. And there's a bunch of other things you can put in there as we go for, you know, better already. Your health begins to regenerate by picking up orbs, which ties in with taking charge. Different things like that can help with our build. So that is the build we have. Let's go ahead and look at the gameplay and see what the gameplay looks like using this. Alright, starting off, we run into the room, we get some kills with our Careless SMG. As you see, you gotta kill a couple people before you can get a Warmind Cell. And right here, we spawn a Warmind Cell. You see the enemies turn orange. That means that they are being affected by the Warmind Cell. As we go along, you see that the Ultra dropped a Warmind Cell as well instantly. And unfortunately it was in a bad spot, so we couldn't exactly move it around. So we continue on killing things. Right here we're gonna spawn to the Warmind Cell, and we go ahead and kill it, and basically everything around me is decimated. And it's a huge reach of area that it just blows everybody up. So we kind of do the same thing, and as you see, I haven't touched the boss at all, having gotten to him, and you'll see that based off my Warmind Cell build already, I've already done damage to the boss. Just come around the corner, looks like everybody else is dead, and I pop one Wither on the ground, come in with my sword, finish off the ogre, and we are good to go. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So that is kind of how that works. As you see, it does a lot of damage. It really cleaned up that Powerful Thrall. Alright, so we're going to play some background gameplay of a strike using a Warmind Cell build, and you guys can just take a look at what it will do with this Warmind Cell build. So I hope you enjoyed what you see here. If you have any comments, please leave a comment. If you want to talk about different Warmind Cell builds, we can definitely talk about it. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. Once again, my name is Oreo Token, and I'll see you guys in D2. Bye-bye.